Apologies for that. My wife has been bribed with coffee to do this, and evidently I forgot to make her some coffee, and she was trying to signal me to get her to make some coffee. Alright, so we're picking up the pace a little bit because you guys should be getting a bit familiar with how this works, and to see that not all turns take as long as these are. Alright, so it's the UNSC's turn. The Covenant have just almost destroyed this ship over here from this element. So now I can choose to use, sorry, from this battle group, either of these groups. Now, this one is going to face some significant terrain issues. The Covenant's going to have no choice but to activate this battle group over here, because that's all they've got. They've got two battle groups as compared to the UNSC 3. That's the nature of the game, is the UNSC will outnumber them by and large, because the Covenant ships are just so much better. Knowing that they're going to be able to go next, and they're going to have to move forwards at least in some capacity, and that my weapons are currently at long range, I would have to get very close to them, and then they would have a chance to go next and to damage me. I'm opting instead to move this group, so I'll put an activation token next to them, because this group is now out of this turn, this phase, so I'm free to move and I won't be hurt by them. Shooting through terrain, depending on the type of terrain, actually causes damage modifiers. So firing through a debris field is -2 to your firepower rating automatically. So it's almost impassable. This one is a wreck. Now, where this is loose bits of ship, so something just exploded, but there's no significantly large chunks left, is firepower -2. This one's -3. Now, given that the default firepower rating is 4, and you're being -3, firing through this is almost non-existent. Maybe if you had an exceptionally powerful weapon, an exceptionally close range, maybe like a Covenant beam weapon, you could, but for all intents and purposes, that's essentially, you can't fire through that terrain. So I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to do this manoeuvring and where I'd like to go for it. So I'm going to do a 45-degree turn with my frigates. I'm going to try and get, I don't know, let's see, maybe about the full, no, about 9 inches, because I want to shoot through this little teeny tiny hole over here, so I'm still in my 4 arc. Now I will do my 45-degree turn here. I think I actually went over by about a mil. There we are. And my 8 inches here. Hoping that I'll be able to fire from one point. So I have to measure from my point to the center point. So see, that is just out. If you can look from above, that was a narrow thing. If I was moving, like if I had gone back an inch, I'd be cutting it off. But as it is just enough to avoid from middle to the peg to the middle peg. Alright, so I've done my movement segment. I can move 45 degrees. If I move too far with these ships here, I'm going to find that next turn, because I could get a better sighting on the ship. Not that it affects, because it's in the front arc, but it might almost be worth my while to turn it ever so slightly, knowing that the Covenant ship's most likely going to go forwards, because then they'll be in closer range. They're still in my front arc, because that arc line extends out here, so they still fall within this segment. Alright, so firing. I'm going to fire all of my weapons at the CCS battle cruiser. Now that's 10 dice from the MAC weapons. I'm choosing to use the MAC first because I really want to inflict the damage on them and get those shields and defenses down. I know they get defenses against everything, but still it feels like the primary response. You really do, and it means the damage track will be smaller for the next round of attacks, which is very important, because the smaller weapons are more likely to inflict damage if they're being placed against a smaller value. So the big ones are good for getting that first thing down. So let's have a quick look and see how many a Trident formation gets. 3 light MAC dice. Alright, now we need to also figure out what ranges. So 10 inches is the short range for this light MAC, and 20 for the long. So it's definitely in range, it's in arc, but it's not going to get... No, because we're not shooting at the corvettes, so I just had a mental blank briefly. I thought the cloaking systems and such that affect it. Now this has got a 16-inch short range, but it's firing at long, so That's a firepower rating of 4, and there are no deficits. There's nothing that's actually taking this down. It's one of the advantages of shooting the big Covenant cruisers. They're tough, but at least you're likely to hit them. Okay, so I'm rolling my 13 dice, because all Mac weapons, they've got the same name. Okay, so we have 3 critical successes, and, sorry, not critical, but you get it, and 3 regular. Okay, which means I get to re-roll my 3 here. Those are 3 misses for another 2 hits. Okay, so that's my success pool just there. Now, looking at the Covenant CCS supported battlecruiser, it is carrying around a defense array of 5. So that is quite a monstrosity. So rolling, did I roll that just then?
I don't know.
I'm going to say I did. Okay. I cheated, I'm sorry. Okay, so rolling the defense array of 5, 1 critical success, 2 critical success, but because that's a fail, I can't roll that again. So you can't get devastating defense, at least not with the current rules. So there's no way for us to reroll a fail. If that was a miss, however, we could. So let's take away 6 from the UNSC pool, and so that would be that. So those are removed, which gives us 6 remaining successes, which, compared to the Covenant's damage track, oh, hang on, almost did something very foolhardy. We have 2 Mac 3. So we're still in that first 2 to 3 bracket, and we'll see if a vulnerable token is applied. No. And yes, that's right. Yep, okay. Now, vulnerable tokens can actually be removed, but that happens in the end phase. In the end phase, you get a chance to repair your vulnerable token, but the end phase happens after all battle groups have been activated. You roll 1 die, and on the roll of a 1 vulnerable token is removed. On the roll of a 2 vulnerable tokens are removed. And you roll a die depending on how many vulnerable tokens there are. So if there's 2 vulnerable tokens, you roll 2 die, 3, so on and so forth. Okay, so no vulnerable tokens were applied. 6 damage manages to be applied to the ship, but with a damage track of 8, that is insufficient to breach its defenses. So the max do nothing. Now, testing with the missiles, they are going to be at long range. They are in range in both cases. However, this is the closest target. So 16 inches and 16 and a bit. So this is just 16 and a bit. Well, it might be almost equidistant. Okay, just over the 16, like barely over the 16. Okay, and slightly more over. But slightly further over, I should say, or farther over. They're just in range for targeting that cruiser. Okay, and so in the Trident formation, I do believe they get extra missiles. They do, so 3, and the supported cruiser gets 8 for a total of 11. So 3, and there's my 8. These are the missiles. Don't expect missiles to do much because they're going to get a 5 defense array dice, and for point defense 4. So they're going to have 9 defense. Now, I'm firing at long range, which means that I will get an additional +1. Just once more, testing the range, see if I'm in at 24 with R, so they're definitely in range, definitely at long range. So this is a devastating roll. With 2 critical successes, or 2 successes. I don't know how to refer to them. So 2 2s just sounds, I don't know, daintier, I guess. Alright, and I'm going to choose to roll these 2. Because they're fails and normally you don't get a chance to. Okay, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now for the Covenant, we're looking at 5 for its defense array, plus an additional 4 for its point defense system. So they roll, and they get quite a few successes, a critical success, we'll call it that. And an additional. So that's removing 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. Damage track of 2 compared to their damage. Damage of 2 compared to their track of 8. That does absolutely nothing. Okay, it is the Covenant's turn. The Covenant's going to come over here. Ah. Mine is an evil laugh. Okay, and we're going to start moving this battle group. It gets an activation token, and we can figure out where we're going to go. Moving dead ahead with this Corvette means that I'll be facing an asteroid. Not my best move, so I'm going to angle and move 8. This moves 8, whereas the supported only moves 7, which is funny to me because these individual ships can move 9. That can move 9, that can move 8 together. They can only move 7. The UNSC is not so restricted, so I guess, I don't know, they don't practice as often. Maybe it's brutes and elites over there, which is why they're moving so much slower. Move him, he's 7 inches. Okay, now, maybe move that just ever so slightly in the turn, and move it its full 9. Now if I do that, my element base, this is important, this is a good thing for it to come up. My element base will be on top of the Covenant's cruiser here, and that's not a legal move. If I do that, the one that I've just moved has to move back. It can't exceed, like I can't go 9 and then be like, oh, I'll just shove that extra inch forwards, because this is my max possible move. I'd actually have to be back here. Alright, so I'm going to have to choose either maybe not move this ship so far back, or more likely, because this ship has more range, I could keep this one further back and then hope to recuperate that next turn. Or, because I'm still in the first move phase, I can just alter it slightly, like that. I'll have to recheck the rules, because it might be that you actually have to move all of the angles, then, sorry, do all the turns, and then move them. I'll cover that later, I don't want to hold this up too much. And we'll do 8 inches, just shy of to there, so that next turn I've got adequate room, and I'll do my second turn. There, like that. Okay, firing solutions. Let's see the ranges before we declare anything. 18 inches. Has me. Oh, it's a close one. Looks like it's just in. Yep, that's definitely in, but just. Okay, so and for the plasma cannons, they're definitely going to be at long range, but they are in. They are not in range for the Marathon Cruiser. So it looks like I'll be declaring everything into that trident formation for the Paris cruisers. So now I'm going to remember how devastating this plasma lance was with 12 dice at a trident formation. Poor thing doesn't stand a chance. Yep, is indeed 12. Okay, so I'm firing at long range with a plasma weapon. So that takes me from my 4 to my 3. And I'm firing an elusive target, so it takes me from my 3 to 2, which means that 1s and 2s both count for 1s, no rerolls permitted. Okay, so that's... Alright, so that's 1 success, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's 7 successes, because that only counts for 1. Alright, now we get titanium armor of 2. 1 success. Okay, so we remove one of those, which means we're looking at 4 damage, which is being applied. So it's definitely taken a damage token. Okay, now let's also put... it was a critical hit, so it's got a vulnerable marker, which means it's now a defensive 2. Oh dear. Okay, so we've taken 4 from that pool. Yep, and so there's 3 remaining damage on that. Compare the 3 to the 2, because it's 3 for its regular damage track has been removed to a 2. That's definitely enough to do damage, and there's in fact 1 damage left over. So take that away. Let's see if another one, if we get another vulnerable marker, it's destroyed in this single volley. We do! A second vulnerable marker, which means that its remaining damage track of 2 is reduced to 1, because it's 3 down by 2 by the 2 markers, to 1. The 1 remaining success destroys the elements. In this case, all the excess shots are now wasted, because I declared them all. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that efficient. So, because my firing solutions are declared, the rest of the shots are wasted, which is a shame, because they would have been in range for plasma torpedoes. Alright, now we move to the next phase, which is the final activation for this turn. The UNSC has just this battle group to activate. It's not looking so good. If I move 45 degrees I could try and run away, but then I've got the Covenant likely to sweep around with their additional movement and hit me in the aft. Or I can move forwards in a vainglorious assault attempt. I think vainglorious assault attempt sounds more my style. So I'm going to move forward my minimum distance, and let's check and see if that's going to be in 16-inch short range. It's not, so let's move forwards an additional 2 and check. That is in my short distance range. Okay. Now my missile pods are probably going to have to target the CCS, but I'm going to shoot the MAC as the Corvette. So the MAC's at 2, so we're going to roll and see if this applies a vulnerable marker. It does not apply a vulnerable marker. So firing a MAC, I get 8 dice for an unsupported CCS. That's MAC. Okay, so I'm firing at short range at an elusive target. So the cloaking system doesn't kick in, but the elusive target does. So this is at a fire rating of 4. Sorry, 3. So no rerolls permitted. Okay, so that's quite a few successes right there. Alright, now they've got their point defense of 2 in oblique formation mode. I'll just check. It's oblique. Defense array of 2 as well. Okay, so the Covenant's defense array, 2 fails, or misses, not fails. Alright, so we compare the damage that I've inflicted to their damage track. So 4 applies a damage marker to the Covenant ship. See if it's a critical hit. It isn't. Okay, so compare the second damage track of 3, and we've got 2 there. So that's 3 there. So that's a second damage marker. See if that causes a critical hit. It does not. Okay, so we compare my final 2 to their 3. It doesn't cause enough to exceed that value. So that is that ship fired. So its activation marker travels with it. Now to the end phase. All activation markers are removed from all units. Right here. Okay, and we're going to roll for vulnerable markers. So for this vulnerable marker here, we're going to roll. On the roll of a 1, I can remove 1 vulnerable marker. On the roll of a 2, I can remove 2. And I roll 1 dice per vulnerable marker on the ship. So nope, that vulnerable marker is staying. And over here for the Corvette, no, because that is dead, actually. So probably won't roll for that. So that stays, and the turn is over, so it's over the next turn. So we roll for priority, or initiative it's called, and it's the same way. Again, if we had fleet commanders, we'd be using these. We are going to use these, despite the fact we don't have fleet commanders, which you need for a legal game. We'll roll and see. The Covenant gets a 4, and the UNSC gets 1. In the event of a tie, it goes to the player that didn't have it last turn. So the Covenant gets to activate a battle group of their choice first of all. This ship, like when these ships fire, they're going to be able to do quite a fair bit of damage because they've got the auto MAC of 4, meaning that they're twice as likely to cause a MAC vulnerable marker as these groups that only have 3, because it's got into that 4 range. So for this turn, I think I'm going to activate this Covenant battle group first, and they're going to move forwards nice and close. And this is extra good for the Covenant when they've got borders and things like that, because borders are incredibly powerful. The UNSC has the best borders in the form of Spartans, but the Covenant, and we might change our facing slightly in a second. And here we can do that, and we'll move forwards. Let's go for gold. Let's do that. Actually, that would suit. See, if this was UNSC with our port and starboard missiles, this would be great because you're getting up in the face of the Covenant. I mean, that's their territory, but at least you can fire twice, once on each side. That's not so great. So maybe I'll pull back to there, make them sort of move up to me. Alright, and for my missiles, I'm going to declare my secondary weapons onto that, and I'll fire the plasma lance here and the plasma cannons. Yeah, we'll fire this primary weapon here. I do believe that with the combined value of their secondary weapons, I'm going to be able to take that double damaged and vulnerable ship over there. Okay, so let's start with secondary, because primary and secondary weapons don't have to be fired in any order. I can elect which order I'd like to do. Given that they're firing at different targets, I don't need to use the more powerful weapon first. Let's see, we're looking at 5. Yes, we are looking at 5 plasma torpedoes. And, oh no, because it's got 2 plasma, the secondary weapon, so I will actually fire both of this element's weapons at this formation here. Okay. So we are looking, and we'll fire the plasma torpedoes and the plasma cannon array. So we're firing plasma torpedoes. They're at short range, so that's less than 12 inches. So that's going to be at a fire rating of 5, because plasma weapons get +1 at close range. So rolling to C, and we get a critical success and 1. So we can reroll 1. Let's reroll the fail. It's a miss. It's been upgraded though. Okay, so 3 compared to its damage track of 2. So 3 normally and reduced to 2. So the UNSC really needs to get some defense in here. Titanium armor is all gone. Point defense of 4. So rolling, and we have critical success 2. So roll that. Okay. All right. So we've got 4. Covenant only got 3. So that's not getting through. Now for the plasma cannons, which are the more likely weapon to destroy, we've got a 10-inch short range, which we are just out of if you measure from the centre of the peg. Half, quarter of an inch. So it's going to be at fire rating 3, but there's still 10 of the buggers. Alright, so 10 of them. So no rerolls permitted, but numbers counting. So we've got 6 successes. The UNSC has no titanium armor anymore, so this ship has no defense against this particular attack and is destroyed. Okay, so the element is now removed, which means that next turn they are out of coherency. Alright, but we'll see, because it might actually not be once we've destroyed this. So we've got the Covenant corvettes, and they're going to be in line formation, firing 3 plasma cannons and 4 plasma torpedoes. So I'm going to fire the plasma cannons first in the hopes of damaging and taking out that titanium armor. What a surprise! The UNSC's titanium armor prevents the 1 success that wasn't going to do anything anyway. Now, that was a roll of 5 though, so its range in firepower rating is 5. We've got the plasma torpedoes, of which it has 4. Okay, so 4 of them firing in close range, so this is power rating 5, which means that my success can reroll fails or successes, misses. So 3 success, alright, versus the UNSC's 2 titanium armor and 2 point defense. In a typical UNSC malfunction fashion, the titanium armor and point defense do nothing. They take a damage marker there, and we'll roll to see if that applies a vulnerable token. It does not. Alright, okay, so that's the Covenant's turn. Over to the next unit's activation. UNSC player gets to elect what they'd like to do, and yeah. Well, they've fired, so I can move there, whereas these guys have not gone. I really do need to do something over here, because these guys can't fight back anymore. I'm going to focus my attention over here, moving my 4 inches, because they're going to be able to move up 7, so they're going to be in short range anyway, and nothing spells vainglorious quite like charging straight at them. Alright. So, let's declare our shots. Now, they've taken 2 damage markers. Additionally, any successes made by the UNSC against... I should have done this over here. When the plasma torpedoes were fired, I got some success. I had point defense, which meant I got a defensive roll. I should have taken away 1 for every vulnerable token I had. So, sorry for missing that, but of course it was going to die, as we guessed, to the plasma cannons, because then it has no armor at all. I really do need to kill this. It's quite tough, but doing a 95-point trade for just that seems a little daft. Unless I could... Yes, if I do a 45-degree turn, that is now in... Because I'm guessing I'm going to die next turn anyway. That is now in my port arc, so I can fire there. And I can fire my Mac directly ahead, because it's in the frontal arc, as a Covenant ship. The activation token comes up. So firing my Mac, see if it applies a critical marker. It does not apply a vulnerable token. So rolling my 8s. So I'm firing at short range, so there's no... and it's not an elusive target, so it's firepower rating 4. So your default, I got 2 successes. Let's roll a fail and 2. 1. Okay, so we're looking at... That's not even enough to damage the Covenant, plus they now get their defense array of 5. Or is it 4 because it's not supported? Defense array of 4 because this is not a supported system. So they take away 2. Alright, so that leaves us with 5, not enough to deal damage to it. So, now we're talking about the Archer missile pods firing at that. The corvettes, it's at short range, so it does not get +1 damage. So I'll be firing. It has how many missile pods? Checking, and 7. Okay, so 7 missile pods firing at short range, so no additional damage. It doesn't get its cloaking ability, but it is still elusive. I am firing at firepower rating 3, so no rerolls allowed. Okay, so we're looking at 4 successes against their damage track of 3 for their... Yes, 3 for their damage track. They get their point defense of 2, and... No, point defense of... Yes, okay. 3 for their point defense and defensive race, so they get 5 dice to try and combat the UNSC's 4 results. Oh, they've done it! They've done it! The UNSC has blown up this corvette. Just so, with the removal of 1 for the 1 success from the Covenant, that is gone. Vainglorious assault! Rampage! Sorry, probably shouldn't do that. It's been a long game. I'm not used to talking this much for it. Alright, so that's been activated. So now it's the Covenant's turn to activate something, and surprise, surprise, they activate their only remaining ship. Now, they can either move before or after. And because this is space, they're allowed to move. The base is 2 inches, so it's 6 centimeters long. And it gets an 8-inch movement. And there is just 6 centimeters left. But my spidey sense tells me that that's not going to be quite enough. Because once it turns, it's going to have its point flicking out. I was going to try and get into the aft of this ship, but seems like that's unlikely. And seeing as though there's no advantage for firing to the port or starboard sides, the Covenant ship might as well turn and move. Well, it can't move 4. Okay, it might not turn. I guess it's just going to be a broadside fight. So it did turn in the first thing to make it so it can move broadside. Alright, and we're looking at Plasma Lance with 12. So let's try and get some shots off into this. So here we are. So it's set power rating 5 because it's not firing an elusive target. Plasma weapon, +1 rank. No major successes. They all go back. So 4. UNSC gets titanium armor of 4. Prevented. Okay, so now it's got its plasma cannons. It doesn't have plasma torpedoes at all, in fact. So plasma cannon arrays of 9. So 9. Okay. Feels very Halo-esque to have a broadside fight. Okay, so we've got. Okay, now this is power rating 5, so you can re-roll this for another success. So we're looking at 5, 6, 7 successes total. UNSC gets the titanium armor. We remove 2 of these, putting it down to 5. The damage track for an unescorted and unsupported carrier is 6, so we are not damaged. Yes. Okay, maybe not as vainglorious as I thought it would be. Alright. So that's that ship activated, that's the Covenant done, which leaves me with the last battle groups over here. I'm going to choose to activate this group first. So it gets an activation marker. They're outside unit coherency, so move 45. One of them will be the main group, one will not be the main group. So let's see, I've got to move at least 5 inches, because that's half its move. Okay, so it's going to move ever so slightly. We'll see if we fit there. We do at the 5-inch mark, and this is going to have to go. Move over up to that far. So I'll move. So I measure from the front and place it there. Okay, so that'll give me a turn to get some other big hitters in line, but it's at the expense of my Mac. Yeah, well, I've done the move and basically it's too complicated for me to undo, so. Let's see, we've got missile pods. Besides little light Macs, they're not going to do anything anyway. So there's no one to the front art, so we're just doing missile batteries on either side. We're doing it with trident and an arrowhead formation for a combined total of 5 pathetic missiles. Of which I'm going to elect all of them to be at the cruiser here. So, well, I've declared it. I just realised, because this group no longer has, I said that elusive only counts under certain circumstances. If you're part of a battle group that is comprised of elements that have the elusive rule, and none of them don't have the elusive rule, they may fire at elusive targets without elusive applying to them. So I could shoot at the Corvette and elusive does not apply to it. However, I've already declared that I'm shooting at the chaos. Neither of these battle groups count because they've got capital groups in them. So 5 missiles into the side, 1 success. This is going well, I can tell. Okay, so it has a defense of 5 and a point defense of 4 against the UNSC's result of 1. In a surprising turn of events, this does not go so well for the missiles. Okay, so 3 successes, but there's only 2 misses. Would you believe it? The UNSC missile, I should singular, doesn't get through. Okay, that group's been activated. Now this group, it's going to have to do a 45-degree turn, where it's going to run face first into some terrain, which I hear isn't the best for its health. So 45 or up to, and then move my foot, my 5 inches. So then we've got my 45, so let's see, to about there. And it can move 4, but I might move 5, so it keeps in line. Okay. Yep, that's easily there. So we can avoid shooting through that terrain, which is not going to be so great. Right, declaring shots. First I'm going to fire my max. So before I fire my mac, I have to roll and see. This is 3. Yes, in a trident formation you get 3. To see whether or not it causes critical hit. It does not. I'm terrible with max. Absolutely awful. So we're firing all of our max. Okay, I'm going to do this because I'm a bit tired, so I shouldn't, but I actually did not do my second move as I intended, and so technically it's not in my front arc. So, because I am versing me, and I am a generous player, the Covenant me is going to allow my UNSC me to do the second turn as I intended. Yeah, okay. So, the UNSC me apologises to the Covenant me for forgetting to do that, but yes. And the Covenant me understands and accepts the apology and says just don't let it happen again, and I'll forgive you for now. But you're lucky this isn't being recorded and put on YouTube and you look like an idiot in front of potentially quite a few people. Alright, so we're firing at short range for sure, that's definitely not 16 inches between that. So there's no modifiers, it's not an elusive target, so firing 5 rating 4. Okay, so we've got 3 fantastic successes and 4 regulars. So we are going to re-roll 1, 2, 3. And we get another success, but we've got no more re-rolls because that is a fail. Because I can't do that for a miss. If it was devastating, I might be able to, but that accounts. So we have 13 successes. And now they get their point defense of 4, and yeah, defensive array of 5. The defensive array of 5 counts, but the point defense does not because it's not missiles. That comes in the next phase. We have 5. Critical success. 1. Okay, so they're removing 5 from the pool. And what do you think? There's 5 there. We have 8 remaining, which is just enough to defeat the defense of 4. So the Covenant ship takes some damage. Bam! Destroyed by UNSC Macfire. Inserted Macfire. We'll roll to see if that was a critical. It was not. Okay, if that was in the after arc, however, that would have been a critical hit. Okay, this also gets an activation marker, obviously, and that turn is done. So end of turn phase, we are going to roll for any vulnerable markers. There are no vulnerable markers on the field. So we remove all activation tokens. And we go again. We roll for initiative. Here, so the UNSC goes and gets no command point. They're leaderless. Maybe he was on that marathon cruiser over there. And the Covenant win with a roll of 2. So there are 2 command points to get them to choose what they want to do first. I actually think we're going to activate this one over here. This is a fantastic opportunity for the Covenant to get an after attack. So he'll do his 45 now, and then he's going to move 4 inches to just there. Okay, so that's, yeah, that's in. That's in his eye. Sorry? Being a signal.
You just needed to flatten it.
Flatten it? Like that? Okay. Well, it's alright. You do it on the side so you can get a narrow point of measurement. Thanks, Jules, there. See, she knows what's going on. Alright, so we've got our plasma lance, that's going to be 12, so that's 8, 12 into the aft. Not a good time to do that thing glorious shit. Okay, so that was over there. So, we've got a critical. Okay. Oh. Okay, so the critical gives me a reroll. Still misses. Okay. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. UNSC has titanium armor 4. Non-shippy ship. Reroll. For my second one. Reroll. Yeah. I'm actually not too certain if the rules work like that, but I think it does, because you get rerolls equal to the number of things. But if not, please feel free to clarify. Alright, so 6 are taken away, which leaves 1. Not enough damage. So, that deals nothing compared to the damage track of 6. Now we are dealing with plasma cannons of 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 plasma cannons. So we are firing point blank, which means 5 damage, 5 power rating of 5. So that's 2 successes, critical success, rerolls. Okay, so that's another one, which gives us another reroll, which is another one, which gives another reroll. Okay, so the plasma cannons are apparently where the damage is at. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. So the UNSC has titanium armor 4. I guess it was all worn out from the plasma lance. So we lose 1, we are down to 8, 10. Okay, so we compare 10 to the first damage track. Alright, 6, is 10 greater than 6? Tell me, audience, I think it is. Alright, so we take a damage marker and we put one on to the now damaged ship. Was it critical? Okay, now remember, on this roll, because it was damage that was received in the aft arc of the ship, it would activate on a 2 or a 1, which is a 1 in 2 chance overall. So, but no, it is not vulnerable. Continues on its spree. So we take out a 6, and we are left with another 4, which is not enough to damage the remaining track. Alright, which means that's now been activated. It's UNSC's turn for activation. Where are they going to activate? Well, over here they can't do too much. Over here the Covenant's still a massive threat. So, going to activate this battle group right here. And it's going to move, so let's see. Do we want that? So, maybe we'll do a bit of a turn to there. Move our 5 inches. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to turn? No. Okay, so I can move up to 45, which will put me like that. So let's do that. So I'll move 4 inches. And let's turn slightly. There we are. Okay. Yeah, no, that's about all I can do. Alright, declaring my max. We've got a Mac into, all the Macs are going to fire into the Covenant cruiser. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 1, 2, 3.